Welcome back to the International Western Qualifiers for the playoff day. We're still in the first game. Both teams have pulled out all the stops here. A 60-minute game over a 50-minute game. We don't know what's going to happen in Game 3 other than, well, they're going to show us their best again.
It's going to be a good game, that's for sure. I mean, even in the games where every team lost, the teams showed that they had something going on for them. They had the skill, they had the power to turn around at one moment. No game was clearly decided until the end. So whatever happens in Game 3, it's going to be another very long, very exciting match, I guess.
All right, so we're ready to go. I think the players are ready now as well. EG are all back in. So Andy, Wepers, let's get into the draft.
So it's game number 3 here between these two teams. Wepos, it's EG taking on Roxkiss. We can see the first ban out, of course, going to be that Lifestealer. And as we talked about and actually showed on stream, Roxkiss are going to be getting the server advantage for game number 3. But that didn't really seem to stop EG before. And it seems like it's actually the opposite of what you would imagine. It's like the US server, EG lost. But on the Lux server, EG won. So maybe if history repeats itself here, we'll see EG take game 3.
Yeah, when you always bring that up, that's when the teams just win away servers pretty much. Like the home team never wins when they got the better ping. But we'll have to see what Roxkiss wants to go for in this draft, because I felt that, you mentioned it, they can't really play too well against mid push. They're more like, we just want to go fight you as 5 because we know we can fight you better, especially if we have a lot of high priority heroes, which means that you have to focus so many different of them. Whereas EG's style were more focused around pickoffs, at least last game, which means that you can't pick off one hero when you need to pick off 4 heroes.
Right.
And if you have the weaker team fight, you're generally going to lose it. So we'll have to see what Roxkiss wants to try and get their hands on now. They might go for either a Batrider first pick here, or just go back to their Gyrocopter that they would love to run.
And this is interesting because EG actually decides to ban out the Darkseers. So obviously last game, Dread had a pretty good game. He went for the Hex actually after picking up that point booster, so it did end up being a casual vitality, or excuse me, point booster for him. But his impact was still pretty big, especially in the team fight around the secret shop on Roxkiss' side of the map. That's when he really showed that he was going to be a huge problem for the side of EG, and we actually talked a bit about it between games. The draft that Roxkiss had, they had 3 heroes that you kind of had to kill, because if you don't isolate them, then they just dominate the team fight. You had the Chen heal and the mech coming out from 1. That hero can get disrupted by the Shadow Demon, who's another person that's really annoying to have to deal with, and then you have an RP on top of everything else in a Luna. So their drafting style last game, I really loved, because it didn't just, it wasn't reliant on one person getting a big ability, it was really complementary 5-man Dota.
Yeah, it was just such a good 5-man Dota, just go for really hard pushing straight away. So I really like that lineup, like you pointed out, and we're going to see the Batrider being the first pickup for Roxkiss, and EG is going to instantly respawn with both the Nyx Assassin as well as the Magnus, which right now leaves a Rubik Gyro if Roxkiss actually wants to go for something like that. Rubik in general is very good, being able to steal either Impel, Carapace, or Vendetta from the Nyx Assassin. And of course, you got the RP of the Mag, and it works well together with a Gyrocopter. The only thing is, though, that they'll leave a Shadow Demon, which is so good to have against a Batrider.
I'm thinking they might just take the Shadow Demon here, just because they themselves have the bat, like you just said. So if you take a Shadow Demon, potentially, and you take a +1, I think that's going to leave you pretty strong. And not only that, but when you pick a Rubik, you don't really see that hero often go in offensive positions, unless you think that maybe EG are going to do it themselves, and maybe you want to try to avoid it. But no, they will go with the Rubik, so it's a safe bet, I think. But it also does kind of dictate what their laning phase might look like a little bit more.
Yeah, they'll most likely go for a safe lane. I mean, you can always combo it. If they go for something like a Gyrocopter, you can always get a +1 like a Leshrac, Lina, even a Bane, and just get the extra damage out. And then you can go for an aggressive tri-lane. It's just that the Rubik is only going to add in his lift on the first levels. His Fade Bolt isn't doing that much damage on level 2. You really need to level 3 to get the extra burst coming out. And if EG has something like a Nyx, as well as maybe go for Bane or a Shadow Demon in this situation, it's going to be really hard for him to get in and get that Rocket Barrage damage out.
We'll see what the last choice here is going to be for EG, and yeah, it was pretty obvious. I mean, Shadow Demon, especially against the Rubik and the Batrider. If you get telekinesed or you end up getting stuck in a cooldown that you simply can't run out of, you can just disrupt the hero and try to negate all the damage output that's going to be there. So both teams looking really solid at the moment. I think that EG maybe has a bit more flexibility in terms of what their laning phase could be, just because of their heroes. I mean, Nyx Mag, They can do a whole heck of a lot, and Shadow Demon, of course, going to be a support, but he can do whichever support role is necessary. So getting into the second ban phase, we can see that EG, they're lacking their carry, whereas Rock's Kiss, they already have a Gyrocopter. So if you're Rock's Kiss right now, what are your thoughts on what you want to take out?
10 seconds
I would say at least one of the bigger heroes to take out is easily a Phantom Lancer. Not just because that he's a really annoying hero overall, but he works really well together with a Shadow Demon because you can pretty much create 2 armies if you're lucky enough. And when you have the Shadow Demon on your team, it's just like so much better. And that hero always kind of works if you can give enough space for him. And if you have a Nyx Assassin that's going to run around in Vendetta and you have a Mag with an RP, you should be able to get that space going. But EG might not want to try and go for it though, so we'll see if Roxas actually wants to ban it out. But I'd say it would be a safe bet just to ban that out. Maybe even ban an Anti-Mage out, because we've seen Cupid do that, where they run Anti-Mage and Mag, and they just give the Empower to get the cleave out instead of actually going for Battle Fury.
Anti-Mage does sound really scary here, but let's also keep in mind, they do have the Lasso still. They have a Rubik who can actually steal the Blink, and we talked about how potent of a utility that can actually be, and we actually got a chance to see that when the Cupid Red Pandas played, because I believe they were against a Rubik during that game when they had the AM. So there's kind of double-edged swords going all around here. It's just so difficult when you're playing at this high level because the other team, they're going to be able to punish you for almost everything. The only weakness I could say that Rock's Kiss 2 have is that split push, where they're just not really so good at playing against it. But EG's not doing that here. They don't have access to the Nature's Prophet. They're not going to get the Wisp. The Keeper of the Light is probably another hero that's going to get banned out in this phase, just to revoke some of EG's mobility, because, let's be honest, they're really good at abusing the map. And Rock's Kiss, they're more of the we want to try to fight you style.
Even so that they ban out the Nature's Prophet, just with the 3 first heroes we see from EG, I wouldn't really say that they actually want to go for something like a split push, just because the way they've been running the Nyx and the Shadow Demon, they run both those in a support role, and then we have, of course, have Demon playing the Mag mid. They could rotate it up, put Demon on the Nyx mid, and then, of course, the Mag in the long lane instead, but that's generally how they play it. And they can run an aggressive tri-lane, but just the split push potential, don't really see it there unless you get something like a really hard split pushing carry, something like the Lone Druid that actually got banned out, or the Anti-Mage or PL. But right now, it's just looking like they want to be able to win fights against Roxas.
Well, being able to win fights, Magnus is definitely going to be great for that. Just being able to find that initiation. And we talk about the impact of these heroes during the mid-game, like the Magnus, the Batrider, and I guess the Rubik to an extent, because being able to steal RP would be fantastic. But getting a Blink on a Magnus just seems to feel a lot more menacing than getting a Blink on a hero like Batrider, because you can ultimately only catch one. And then he's going to be against a Shadow Demon, and he's going to be against a Nyx who can just walk into his Firefly and stop him from initiating properly. So I kind of have to give the edge here to EG, at least in the first 3 heroes.
Yeah, they got more of a rounded up team fight lineup, because they got some really nice defensive spells in the Disruption and the Carapace, and then, of course, they got follow-up to that RP with the Impale afterwards, as well as they got the Demonic Purge and Soul Catcher, but they can just try and look for something like, not a big AoE carry, but just something that can help them out with some cleave, like an Anti-Mage or a PO, like we mentioned, but that's going to really help with the follow-up damage in the RP. We'll have to see, though, what Roxas wants to pick up. They still have the first pick out of the second phase, which means that they're going to be able to get their hands on either a support or a mid hero straight away.
I'm interested to see what their choice is actually going to be, because if they wanted to put Solo on Batrider and put him in the mid lane, then that would make some sense, because Batrider is fantastic against Magnus. But at the same time, Batrider is that hero who can get away with doing pretty much the same thing as a hero like maybe Darkseer could, you know, just go anywhere. Maybe he can jungle, maybe he can go to the offlane and get something accomplished, because this game, they're going to be able to put the Batrider in the offlane in a position where he can creep pull himself. That's the one bright side of being an offlane whenever you're playing on the Radiant side. Dire can't do that. He would have to just go back to his jungle and farm. But the Weaver is going to be the choice here for Rock's Kiss. That's going to be their last ban. Evil Geniuses, right now, they're looking to ban out one more. And I got to imagine it's going to be some kind of a support. And the Chen ban already, that says to me, EG are thinking that Rock's Kiss themselves are going to be running a defensive lane.
We might see an Enchantress being banned out here. Works quite decently together with the Rubik. You don't have that much damage, of course, unless the Enchantress hits level 6. But you're going to have the opportunity to have 2 creeps, which is really nice. That comes out of the Enchantress. But I would still guess that they might not be looking towards something like that. Maybe go for something like a Jakiro, just because they already have the Rubik to go even more defensive, or just a Bane. They're not really going to have any kill potential then, but it's still going to be a very safe lane for them, and the Bane is always nice against pretty much any hard carry that EG can pick up.
Yeah, Bane's a hero who, at least today, haven't had a chance to see, really. He hasn't seen a whole lot of limelight, and I love Bane just because of how unbelievably good he is at controlling. That's the one thing during at least the laning phase that you love to have, is being able to Nightmare offset maybe specific offlane heroes like Darkseer. Of course, he's not going to be picked, but just enfeebling a Gyrocopter is fantastic, just having that kind of a thing. But I don't think EG is as likely to go for it as Roxkiss are. But we haven't even seen what carry EG is actually going to pick. So right now, EG, they're thinking to themselves, it's going to be an Outworld Devourer again. And I know that Roxkiss has run it in the past, and it's one of those heroes that is very difficult to cope with, especially when, as of right now, there's only one hero on the side of EG that's going to go for a BKB. And honestly, if you think about it, if they ban that hero, maybe the carry they're going for is not going to be wanting to get a BKB either.
Mm-hmm. And that leans even more towards either a PL or an AM in my eyes, at least. It's just like they're really opening everything up for that. I mean, Puck really hard to kill or really hard to get. The Shen you don't want to deal with because of the Hand of God, and then OD, of course. You don't want to be forced to go BKB, and if you have an anti-mage that can just go straight damage items with the Empower from the mag, then he's going to do so much damage. And we're going to see a Juggernaut being picked up once again by Roxkiss, and I would guess that's going to be a mid-Juggernaut. Solo's going to play that, and Red, of course, going to be the long laner. Either play it like they did in the first game, where they actually played in the safe lane and play it against EG's long laner, or they might just sack him in the long lane this game.
They love that mid-Juggernaut, because he's going to be up against a Magnus, not really like the scariest hero in the entire world. Sure, there's some gank potential, but a Juggernaut's actually quite safe against EG's double roam. If the disruption goes off, there's still a good chance you can spin before the Impale lands. It's going to be up to Fear if he's playing that Nyx Assassin to land the Impale right on time, and that's a very difficult thing to do, especially when you're not playing on your home server. So Luna going to be the choice out here from EG, as that's going to be their carry, and that is a hero who does go for a BKB, so we were thinking maybe they want to abuse Magnus and power a bit more. And going for a Luna in the late game, we saw how effective BZZ was on his Luna. He really didn't care about flat cannon coming out from JO at any stage. He was just always ahead of the curve.
Yeah, the Luna's going to be a really nice pickup. They got a very strong hard carry in that sense, and it's looking a lot like Roxkiss lineup from the last game, except they have an Nyx Assassin instead of a Darkseer in that first pickup, and of course they're not going to be able to get their hands on a Shen since they already have the Shadow Demon and the Nyx as supports. But I'm really wondering what they want to try and get for their long lane. Might be looking towards, I mentioned it before, something like a Tide to be able to have even more teamfight presence, but I still feel that that might not be as good in this game as it would have been in the first game, where they went for super hard split push.
Well, I don't think split push is something that EG really care too much about. This is a I want to fight you lineup. This is a Roxkiss lineup, honestly, that EG are running here in game number 3. But the Enchantress from Roxkiss is going to come out, so nice call there. And it's looking to be potentially a defensive lane here. They could have the Juggernaut mid, they could put the Bat Rider in the off lane, send him to the jungle, and kind of effectively farm, I think, a little bit better than maybe EG could themselves. And the Keeper of the Light is still available, but the thing is, if they took Keeper of the Light for EG, then they would have, I think, one too many supports. So Bambo may be looking at his hero right here. Maybe they want to go for Tide and just say, we want to crush team fights, or maybe they want to pick up something else.
Yeah, Tide Hunter wouldn't be too bad, just to be able to have that extra burst in the fights. And we're actually going to see a Night Stalker, so it's going to be a long lane mag most likely, and then Demon, of course, will pick up that Night Stalker from mid. So they got a really nice hero to be in the front lines and just keep pressure all the time. As soon as they hit Night, they're going to be able to roam together with the Nyx Assassin. And Bambo's actually picking it up. But they might go for a swap though. We'll have to see once we're in the game, but I would be very surprised to see that Bambo would actually play it. Unless, of course, EG will run an aggressive tri-lane with the Shen, or with the Shadow Demon Luna Nyx Assassin.
It would be interesting, to say the least. I mean, that tri-lane, especially going up against a very defensive lane, when you have a Gyrocopter and a Rubik and an Enchantress who's going to be using a creep to harass, it's a pretty big risk that EG would be taking, I think, to do that. And it would also potentially hurt JO's farm where I feel like in the late stages of the game, Luna is one of the hardest carries that you're ever going to see because of course, Glaives, and because of how you just build her in general. You rush the BKB, you go for the 2 hardest carrying items ever, which are Butterfly and Satanic, and then you have a Manta on top of that. So we'll see if they actually do decide to switch those heroes, but I don't think I've ever seen Bambo play Night Stalker before, but just looking at his kind of play style on paper, you got to think this is a Bambo hero.
It must be like a real Bambo hero, since he can dive pretty much wherever he wants to in the first night. If you manage to secure yourself an urn, boots, and a bottle, and maybe even a magic one on top of that, you can just pretty much go for whoever you want. Then maybe get either face boots or power treads, move into a BKB armlet, and you can just do so much damage with that hero. But I believe they actually swap once, and then they swap back the hero, so they might just wait, since it is a pause. I'm guessing Roxkiss probably checks who's on the list, so if they want to go for the swap, they're probably going to do it once the game is started again, because Roxkiss is going to, of course, think that these are going to be the lanes, and then they might go for a swap to be able to disrupt their thought process.
Even if they go for a swap on AG, I feel like, what's the point, you know? I mean, you look at Roxkiss, there's no way they're going to aggressively run that lane. It's way too risky. So I don't know if there's really any purpose to trying to mind game Roxkiss at this stage. But it is Game 3, so maybe they're trying to get any advantage they can. Maybe even just throw them off a tiny bit. But we do have a quick DC here. Looks like Dread is not connected. And Stygia, our acting admin over here at the Good Studio for the TI3 Western Qualifiers, is inspecting the issue. 10 seconds, says Solo. He needs to get back into the game. And I have to be pretty happy about how things have gone today. Most of the delays, excuse me, have actually been from us. So we can't really blame anybody.
I've been happy in general over this tournament. I mean, everything has been running very smoothly. The only thing we had problems with was, I believe, 2 days ago when EG had some disconnect problems where it was quite funny. You just saw the whole team just instantly disconnect, just because they're in the same house, of course. But other than that, everything has been running really smoothly, and the players have been really nice with coming on time and being here. I mean, IC Cup 45 minutes early yesterday, I believe.
Yeah, that was ridiculous.
I guess they figured that the game would start earlier than they thought, but it didn't actually. So it's still a very nice tournament. But you're going to see Roxas starting off, smoking up into the top lane.
They're not going to find anyone yet. They're actually going to be finding a solo Magnus, and they did swap. So Bambo's playing on the Mag. He's going to be soloing his safe lane. And this is a very, very dangerous situation for him. Oh, man, he might not even notice. He's going to walk right into him. BZZ's here. Bambo, he realizes that he gets Skewer, but he gets telekinesis mid-Skewer. It's going to be the first blood. And Bambo spending a little bit too much time drawing on the map, not enough time paying attention. He gives away the first blood, and Roxkiss start off pretty happy with themselves.
That for Taco Bell, man. Really hurting him. But Bottle's going to be finished up by Solo straight away, and that's going to hurt Demon mid. I mean, Night Stalker is a very nice last hitter, and it's going to be melee versus melee, so it's not going to be too bad. But Solo is going to be able to use that spin as harassment, as well as last hitting measures. So he can just go in and last hit with the spin, and then Demon's not going to be able to get close to the lane because he's just going to take so much damage from it.
Well, let's also consider First Blood went to Solo. He starts the lane with a bottle. Like, that's actually huge. He hasn't had to use any regeneration. He already has enough mana for another spin, and he's got 160 gold on top of that. So you want to talk about skewing a lane advantage. Starting with a bottle is something that he's going to be quite pleased with.
Yep, as we see Yol actually going into the aggressive jungle. Vansker is starting to rotate down to the bottom lane, though, since Biz is perfect is actually down there. I'm guessing they want to try and rotate down, but Yol figuring that EG most likely wanted to ward up the whole jungle once again, so Yol's going to try and find some of the creeps inside of EG's jungle instead and maybe rotate via mid, see if they can get a kill, and then just go down towards bottom and help out his tri lane.
You can see how passive Demon is having to play this now. It's such a hard thing to go up against a hero who gets just a free kill. So, bottom lane, going to see a disruption onto BZZ, but not really going to be any follow-up. It's actually a dual lane versus a tri-lane, so it's a Gyrocopter and a Rubik going up against a Shadow Demon Nyx, and of course that Luna. Not necessarily the best dive potential, but I feel like BZZ can still farm here. I don't feel like he's going to be so pressured to the point where he can't find a CS.
As long as they can keep the lane back, there should be no problem whatsoever for BCC to farm. The problem is going to come where Vansker wants to pull, because Beatis and Fear can actually do quite a bit of damage to him, as we see a TP up, Impale going out on Dread, but I don't think anything is going to come out of this. And Bambo just letting those stacks get super high. 8 stacks already, and if he lets that happen once Dread is level 4, he's gonna die for sure.
Yeah, and they even had to have Fear TP. And bottom lane, though, looks like they're trying to punish Vanscore, doing quite a bit of damage to Jo, and BZZ chasing off Beatus. So even though they don't get the kill, they force a reaction out of EG, and that's going to hurt Jo a lot, because before we said, hey, maybe this tri-lane's not going to be able to pressure BZZ too much. Now, they're not going to be able to pressure him at all, and BZZ's going to feel quite confident in actually sitting down there and farming. So it looks like the response from EG is going to be to have Beatus at least move a little bit. I guess he was just going for the bottom rune to make sure that Demon was able to secure it, but I got to give the edge here to Roxkiss in the early game. The Juggernaut's leading the last hits at 12-3 at just 2 minutes in.
I really like the decision to keep Yol up in the top lane, since they know that there isn't... I mean, there is of course kill potential on the side of EG, but it's not as big as you would want it to be. Which means that Yol can just stay in the aggressive jungle, farm up as much as possible, and keep the threat of him coming in with a creep if Bambo takes too many stacks in the lane up top. Which means that Fear has to sit behind Bambo, maybe start pulling, just to be able to get the lane back, as well as helping him out, making sure that he doesn't get ganked. And that leaves the kill potential to pretty much, or that makes the kill potential pretty much 0 down in bottom lane, which means that BCC is going to be able to free farm.
Well, BZZ, he's only sitting at 7-3 right now, which isn't spectacular. We could see Demon in middle lane taking a bit more harassment from that Blade Fury. I'm not sure what EG's lanes are really going to be giving them, necessarily. Bambo's going to be farming, which is great. And Demon is still sitting at 11 CS, so he's not like getting completely shut down. But Solo has had a fantastic start. He's getting way more than I think he should have in the situation. Given that first blood being given away from Bambo, it's kind of skewed the mid a bit. And Yol actually getting caught out. Bambo's here. He does have the skewer. Surprised he didn't just skewer right away. He might have actually been able to do quite a bit of damage to him, but those Nature's Attendants going to keep him safe.
Yeah, and the reason why Solo is just so far ahead is, like you mentioned, he started off with a bottle pretty much, since he got that first blood, and he can just farm with his Blade Fury, which means that Demon can't even get close to the lane. He can't get the nice in, and he can't get in last hits.
Actually, no. They're going to go for Jo. Actually, maybe not the best hero to try to focus down, considering how fast he is in comparison to poor Beatus. I think if they would have telekinesed him, it would have at least forced a disruption, and if he disrupts himself, then maybe it would have been a kill. So, not too bad for EG. They've only given away 1 kill thus far. But you can just see the difference in last hits. Even this Bat Rider is sitting at 17 CS. This is off lane.
Yeah, Bambo's having a hard time getting the last hits. Fear is forced to start to pull, and Dread is getting so much just because Bambo is a bit reckless when it comes to the stacks, as you saw. I mean, he got 8 stacks in the early stages, and that just can't happen, because if he didn't have Fear there, he most likely would have died as a spin going out in mid. And Demon almost going down. Yol is here with a creep though, so...
Oh, Demon Solo, not actually going to get taken out. Solo, he's level 6. He really wants the Omni on Demon. He's going for it so hard, but Beat is standing in a full creep wave. Solo, he's just going to give away a kill. Unbelievable. EG, Demon, he lives through that. I got to say, Solo, as well as you played last game, what the heck were you doing there, buddy?
That was a really weird decision. It was like, Yol came in from the side, which was really good, but the TP reaction from Beat is making sure that they couldn't really kill off Demon properly. Was just great. And then Solo being a bit too greedy, didn't have the range to actually kill off Demon there, and Solo's just back in mid lane again, farming with the Blade Fury and harassing him out, and you can see how much damage it actually does. You want to force him away from the creep wave so you can get the Omnislash, but Demon staying close, making sure that he can't get Omnislash, silence going out as well as nighttime coming, so...
That was actually an ulti, by the way.
Yeah.
He ulted for that just because he knew that he wouldn't be able to get away without the longer silence. So.
Yeah. Really nice play by Demon anyways, making sure he survives. And of course they got the kill on Solo earlier on, which helps Demon get back into the game a bit.
He's so happy right now that he didn't just give away a free kill, because after that huge dive, you're thinking to yourself, yeah, I feel pretty confident in that. And then he realizes, uh-oh, if I run away from this creep wave, I'm just going to die. So, very nice awareness coming out from him, and he manages to live to fight another day, which I guess for a Night Stalker isn't ideal. Maybe he wants to live to fight for another night instead. And top lane, it's the rotation from Fear that's come up here. He's getting some CS, you know, it's not horrible. But this Bat Rider is not being pressured at all. He's level 6, he's got 28, make that 29 CS. He's actually very close to level 7. and Rock's Kiss in their lanes, the top 3 farmers are all going to them.
He can finish off his Tranquil Boost as well as a 1 right now and get a TP and be ready to go to whatever lane he wants. So he can even pick up a smoke and just smoke in from the side if they want to get a gank going. Beatis is actually the one being alone down in bottom lane, farming it up a bit. I'm guessing Bambo's going to start rotating down here once it's time. He's picked up his Arcane Boost, might want to try and go for a bottle just to be able to get that extra mana regen, but after that, most likely going down to bottom lane to try and pressure BCC a bit. But BCC farming away under his tower.
Now BZZ's been having himself a grand old time here in this bottom lane. No pressure being dealt to him at all, and his CS is still really, really good, considering at the beginning of the game, EG were actually contesting him. Of course, for a while now he's been alone. But whenever you leave a Gyrocopter solo farming, you kind of have to wonder for EG. The first night is now actually in effect. This is no longer Demon's ultimate, of course, only lasts 25 seconds at level 1. This is when they really want to start trying to make things happen. I'm assuming Demon's just waiting for that earn money, and they're just going to start trying to go for kills.
Yeah, Demon really needs to start getting something going, because if they just keep on farming like this, even though we saw last game, the Luna works really well in this situation if he can just free farm, but the lane is getting quite pushed up in top, and Dread still not really getting killed up here, which means that he's going to be able to get quite a bit of farm, and if he's not going to get killed, Jayo's going to be forced to just play it passively and can't really take the farm that he needs to take, whereas BCC is just farming away.
Dread's getting way, way too much in this top lane. Like, he's on the same level of farm as the mid and now the safe laner. And Rock's Kiss, they also get the first tower of the game. So, first blood, first tower, give it to Rock's Kiss.
They're so good at abusing this healing ward. Just as soon as they have it up and they know they can go for the tower.
Dread might be in a tiny bit of trouble. Actually, I'll be able to TP away here. Not quite enough right-click damage coming out from Demon. The Void cooldown, a little bit too long. Demon, of course, able to secure his urn now. He's got that Sage's Mask on the way. I didn't mean to cut you off there. It's just like, I got excited. I thought there was going to be a kill, but false alarm.
But yeah, like I pointed out though, Roxy's are really good at abusing this healing ward. When they know they have enough damage, and of course they got the Basilisk up on BCC, they just rotate in some extra supports, get the healing ward, and take a tier 1 tower, because right now EG can't really do anything about it. They need a Blink Dagger up on the mag, they kind of need a second nighttime on the Night Stalker, just because they're going to need him to farm up even more items. He's not going to get enough items during this first nighttime, which means that they have to wait for the second one, and during that time they can just keep on abusing the healing ward like they do and get even more towers and get further ahead.
Well, right now, EG, they haven't really done what I think their lineup is best at. They haven't gone for the 5 versus 5 engagements, even having Bambo with the RP, even having the first night, having Eclipse. They still don't have the Shadow Demon and the Nyx with their ultimates, which is not really ideal, I guess, if you want to try to go for a full-fledged fight, but that's still what their team is based around. And Rock's Kiss, they don't necessarily lose out in the 5 versus 5 either. Maybe as the game stretches on, they're going to have to rely more and more on Solo and BZZ to have these gigantic impacts, but it's pretty much been Rock's Kiss. Even though picking a style that not necessarily has to play 5-man Dota, they're still doing more of it.
Yeah, they're doing really well just pressuring EG at pretty much every lane. This Batrider still doesn't really have, or haven't really had an impact. He's just been farming away, trying to get his Blink Dagger up, and like you mentioned, haven't really been pressured either, which means that he doesn't have to do anything because the rest of the team is doing so much for him.
BZZ might be in a bit of trouble here. Demon sitting off on the side. And BZZ with the spider sense, he's going to say, yep, I'm just going to go ahead and get back. Bambo farming this lane without a tier 1 tower. There's got to be something up. This is just a nice little thing you can take away from this. If somebody like Bambo is farming the lane right now, it's actually really hard to tell if he's just being Bambo or if he has somebody behind him.
Yeah, it's a really nice decision though. Backing out Vanscore might be in some trouble though. Cooldown is going to come out, lift as well. Going to lift him in, Slow's coming. As well as the Rocket. They might even be able to clean up a kill on Demon here if Dread is fast enough catching up after this. But Nighttime is still out, which means that Demon is really, really fast.
Yeah, he's going to get hit by the missile. Here comes the Flame Break. It knocks him back just far enough to get in range for the lasso. Pulls him up to the high ground. And Demon actually with a Bambo play. We're actually going to see Vanscore drop here to Bambo himself, while we also see Jo actually pick up a kill on Yul, that Enchantress coming out as well. And it looks like a tower goes down in favor of Rock's Kiss. Bambo still chasing, not really sure what that was. I guess one of the charges from Eclipse actually hit Dread, who was stuck up on the high ground, but I don't think he necessarily had to use Eclipse there just to get a kill.
Yeah, but in the end though, EG coming out with 3 kills, even though it wasn't really a full 5-on-5 fight, they managed to come out ahead, got 3 kills, killed off the Bat Rider, which was really big, just because you want to stop him from getting his Blink Dagger, and he's up to 1600 gold. He probably would have picked up his Blink Dagger just from that fight if he actually survived, but now killing him off, making sure that that Blink Dagger is going to be a few minutes away, and that leaves more room for Bambo to get closer to his. He's up to 1300 gold right now.
Once Bamboo gets blinked, this is going to be the make or break for EG. You know, take the team fights, do whatever you can. Demon, going to get telekinesis up to the high ground. And Vanscore, I mean, I didn't really know a whole lot about Rock's Kiss coming into this. Bambo saying it's a bug. And it's like, he's one of my favorite players to watch now, just because his awareness is spectacular. Every single time he plays a support, he very rarely has a lot of deaths, and he always makes the big plays.
He's really solid as a support player. I feel that he's really underrated in this team, or like not being praised enough. I mean, everybody's saying Dread is really good. Nothing to Dread, he is really good. It's just that Vanscore doesn't get as much credit as Dread actually does, because he is on a support role, which is, you can kind of see it in other teams as well. The support doesn't really get that much praise, but pretty much every game he's played has just been picture perfect, and he just keeps on being wherever he's supposed to be, so it's a really nice play. But EG pressuring the tier 1 tower down in bottom. Looks like they should be able to take this down, whereas Roxkiss are going to trade a tier 1 tower up top.
Trading 1 for 1, I think Roxkiss are going to be fine with that. They still have basically 3 people in the top 5 in terms of the overall farm. Luna's actually managed to pull ahead, so it's not the worst thing in the entire world for EG right now, but even with the kill lead, I feel like they're the ones who are always playing passive. We can see that the gold at least is going in favor of Rock's Kiss a little bit, while EG maintains a very tiny experience advantage here at about 14 minutes in. So, Rock's Kiss, they're going for the tier 2, but EG, they're here to fight. Bambo has the Blink Dagger. Are they going to try to go on this? But Rock's Kiss, again, with very, very nice awareness, they're going to back up. Oh, they could be walking right into Bambo. Bambo, he's actually not going to go in. He wants a better RP than just getting 1 hero, which I kind of agree with in this situation. It's a really big fight, especially when you're so close to a tier 2. If you lose that, Rock's Kiss with a healing ward could have very easily turned around and taken that tower.
Blink Dagger up on Dread as well, which is going to be nice for them when they actually want to try and go for a pick. But I'm guessing Solo saw the Blink Dagger up on the mag, which meant that it's just back out. Make sure they don't take a fight, especially around that area where it's kind of a tight area, so you don't want to get 4 or 5 men RP'd in there, just because they're going to be able to take your tier 1 tower, might even be able to pressure on there. So safe bet by Roxas to just back out. They forced a haste out of Demon as well, which he had bottled up, but not that big of a deal for him to lose that haste, but it's anyways nice to just make sure he loses that extra gank potential.
A Fear, level 7 right now, walking around in Rock's Kiss jungle trying to find a kill. And he's not really going to find anyone except for Solo, who is pretty tough to take down, especially on his own. He's got about 1200 HP, so there's no way that Fear is going to be able to get anything huge out of this per se. And EG, they usually try to pressure towers a little bit faster than this, and they just haven't really been able to do so, because Rock's Kiss, they get the advantage during the laning phase. They force a really big reaction out of EG, so the tier 1 middle, especially, not going to be pressured that much, because we saw that Juggernaut getting the first blood allowed him to lane much more safely. So, for Rock's Kiss, a lot of small things going in their favor, but a lot of small things can really add up, and since there are no tier 1s standing right now for EG, you even have to contemplate maybe they can go for a Roshan.
Yeah, the tier 1 towers are really important, especially on the side of the Dire, which EG actually has now. I mean, the tier 2 tower in bottom is nice for them as well, just to be able to move into that Roche really quickly, if of course Roxas wants to go for it. But right now, both teams are just content to go back to farming a bit. Roxy is doing what they do best, stack up the Ancients. BCC is moving over. He's going to start clearing that out, and I really want to see what item he wants to go for at this point. He might go for a BKB, but I don't know. Maybe he'll go for his Yasha build instead.
It's a hard decision to make, actually, because going for a BKB against Roxkiss lineup, you really feel like you want it, because there's so much magic damage. I mean, you got Impetus, Fade Bolt, Spin, you have a Bat Rider, who's basically all magic damage, and then you have a Call Down and a Rocket Barrage from a Gyrocopter, so there's certainly enough to warrant buying the BKB, but you still need some damage, and buying the BKB does make it so Empower is not going to be effective on you, so you're not going to be getting the extra 50% damage bonus from that, but I don't know, for EG, I feel like the late game, if it's anything indicative of what Roxkiss did in game number 2, EG's late game is going to be just fine.
Yeah, they shouldn't really have any problem whatsoever to fight. The big thing for Roxkiss, though, is that, we pointed it out earlier, they're so good at abusing the healing ward. And in the late game, there's really only one hero that can actually snipe that healing ward if Solo controls it perfectly, and that's Beatis. And he does not want to be in the front lines to take that healing ward down, because they're all kind of low range, which means that they're not going to get in there and actually kill it off, which means that their survivability in fights, together with the Nature's Attendance as well, is going to be so good.
Group up here by Roxkiss in bottom lane. They're potentially going to pressure this tier 2. And this is a point in time where EG could really abuse the fact that they do have that blink on their Magnus. This is a very, very enclosed space, especially when you're on the retreat. When you start backing up, you start going back towards the river. That's when Bambo can potentially punish you, but looks like EG don't have any intentions of defending that tower. Looks like they're just going to let it fall. Instead, Bambo's going to empower himself, and they're going to try to trade, but Roxkiss, they're pushing way, way faster. And Roxkiss, they're going to be able to actually teleport to defend. They're not going to lose a tower, they're going to get a tier 2 themselves, and I gotta say, man, Roxkiss this game, they're just making all the right moves.
Yeah, they're pressuring the right towers, backing out at the right time as well. BCC actually finishing off that BKB straight up. So they might just want to try and go for the top fight as well. I believe they finished off a mechanism as well on Yol, so they got some extra survivability together with the healing ward that they're really strong at fighting now. Even though Bamboo got the blink with the RP follow-up, Jail's got level 2 Eclipse, there is a BKB up on BCC, and they got a lot of healing to be able to stop that push, or to be able to negate the damage coming out of EG.
EG slowly but surely losing map control here in game number 3. And I think it would be a shock to most people watching, actually, to see EG get dropped down to the lower bracket in the first game, especially against Roxkiss. And not to take anything away from the team, it just feels like EG, up until this best of 3, haven't dropped a game. Not a single game. So, getting into the playoffs, you start to realize these other teams, I mean, you have Roxkiss, and then you have DD Dota, EG, of course, and all these teams, it's like, they can all beat each other pretty convincingly, and of course the last of the 4 is going to be Mouse, who a lot of people widely consider to be the lowest, at least in terms of maybe overall skill in this playoff stage, but I feel like anyone can still beat anyone, especially with so much on the line. All the teams know what's at stake here. It's over $2 million prize pool, and you have to pull out everything here if you want to win.
Yeah, Roxkiss forcing back EG now, which is really nice. They managed to trade a tier 2 for a tier 1, which is worth it pretty much every day of the week. And Roxkiss can just go back to farming, like I mentioned. They got the BKB finished on BCC. They got the mechanism up as well. Solo hit level 11, so he got level 2 on Massage, and it's looking like he's going to go for his Aghanim's first build. He's got Power Treads this game instead. Figured he needs to be able to have a bigger impact, just get the extra attack damage or the extra attacks out with the attack speed. So a really nice pickoff out of that, and he's gone for the drums as well to be able to make up for him not going face boots, getting the extra movement speed. BCC, of course, has drums as well, but it's not bad to have 2 on your team.
Bongos, man. Every hero in the game could have them right now, and I would be perfectly fine with it, just because I love that item. But
they're so good. I mean, and there's nothing bad with picking up 2 or 3 of them either. I mean, you just get extra charges. Who cares if you have more auras? It's just that they're so cheap.
Middle, they're going to spot BCC. Fear's going in with the Vendetta. Oh, very nice BKB timing. The Sentry was there. It's going to be an Omni, and Fear, he eats the entire Omni because Beatus disrupts himself. He goes for the Demonic Purge. He'll be able to walk away from Solo. But man, Fear has got to be really sad about what just happened right there because he ate an entire level 2 Omni. Beatus might not even live through this. He's going to be able to actually TP out, I think. Oh, Flame Break is there! It barely catches him in time. I actually thought he would be able to make it, but not going to be the case. So Fear goes from I'm an invisible bug, my Impale misses because there's a Sentry in middle lane, to I just ate a full Omni.
Yeah, that's the second time he hits a full Omni as well and just dies from it. I mean, he did it on the Sven in the Sven game as well, so kind of sad for him. But right now, they're going to be able to get some nice pressure out on the tier 2. They don't want to really force it since they know that the RP is there with the Blink Dagger, of course, and Bamboo. It's up to 2.4k gold. Might just want to try and save up for that BKB to be able to make sure that he's going to be able to initiate. But Roxkiss moving back to farm a bit, and EG, of course, are going to check Roche, I would guess, since they don't want to try and lose that. They might even just go for it themselves, but Roxkiss knows about it.
A Roxkiss kind of hovering around here. Dread wasted his Firefly, though. That's actually a pretty big deal. You really want Firefly when you're fighting around Roshan.
Jo getting knocked up on the hill as well. He's going to be forced to TP out.
Yeah.
Or Bambo just clearing the trees.
Well, it was both. It was a mixture of the two. So now they're going to use a Tornado to scout it out. Roxkiss realized that EG are no longer attempting Roshan, which is going to be nice. Both teams have their respective wards around that area just to be able to get the proper vision whenever you want to initiate a fight. It's always nice to know where heroes like Bambo are if you're on the side of Roxkiss, and the same can be said for Dread if you're EG. So both teams still kind of taking their sweet time, but you can look at the net worth. This Gyrocopter, BCZ, is getting slowly but surely ahead of the curve here.
He's getting a lot of farm for sure, and he's picked up a Demon Edge as well, so I really like this decision to go for a straight MKB off of the BKB just to be able to force out, and a smoke into a smoke.
It looks like the RP is going to be there. It hits 4 members of Roxkiss. The Eclipse is popping. The RP actually gets stolen. It's an amazing turnaround coming out from Vanscore. EG, they're on the run. The BKB is popped by Jo, but BCC is still sitting at full health. Looks like Jo will be able to get away somehow, some way. Solo, unfortunately, not fast enough. And Beatus tries to TP, but he's going to get beaten down by Mud Golems. Roxkiss, Vanscore, MVP.
He always plays perfectly. And he just stole the RP. After a 4-man RP, got a 5-man RP out of that. Jo managing to survive, and 4 people die on the side of the EG. And this is going to be in Haggis as well, going the way of BCC. And it's like you said, Vanscore, man. Just, wow, that guy is playing so well.
You can't even really blame Demon for that, because he sees a 4-hero RP and he's like, are you kidding me? I gotta go for this. And he gets the 4. There's a counter RP that hits EG's entire team, basically.
Without a blink.
Yeah, without a blink. He just casually walks up the hill, he waddles up there, he's got his chicken head going on, bam, RP. And then you're like, oh, crap. And then all of a sudden, call down. The follow-up on the side of Roxkiss is amazing. But here we go. This is the make or break right here from Roxkiss. This is Vanscore. You can see the RP. It's been used. Vanscore with the steal. He walks up. He even walks past Bambo and hits everyone but Beatus. Even with the Eclipse, Jo has the BKB popped right now. It actually wears off as the call down comes out. Beatus gets the Demonic Purge on Solo. It will eventually help Jo get away, but Beatus is like full panic mode right now. He pops the wand, realizes that there's pretty much no way he can go down towards the river anymore. Goes back over. Solo can't find Jo, unfortunately, and he just ends up aggroing the Mud Golems, and he's like, well, at least I didn't give Roxkiss the gold.
And Mud Golem's doing some work. I mean, the only thing they've been useful for getting a deny, but Aghanim finished off by Solo, so he's gonna have the extra jumps here as Dread actually picks up Fear. Disruption going out, but they're still gonna pull him up to the hill, and Fear using his carapace, but there's no follow-up coming there, but they're still gonna be able to defend that tower. And BCC taking a Demonic Purge, but he's just gonna back out, heal up once again, and he's still got the Aegis.
Vanscore, man. Vanscore. This guy right here, you want to watch out for him. No matter what team you are, do not give him Rubik, at least. Because the last time he played Rubik, he also had an amazing performance, and he managed to get some clutch steals in. So, Solo, we got a chance to see that he finished off that Aghanim Scepter. Going to see some teleports coming in to the Tier 1 in top lane, and Beatus is just doing some scouting here with his Shadow Poison. But once that MKB is up on this Gyrocopter, the damage output on the side of Roxkiss is going to be huge. So, now the worry is, if you're EG, can you really take the 5 versus 5 anymore? I'm actually going to see an Omni straight away. BKB actually going to get popped. Really unfortunate bounces coming out from Solo as he goes basically to the full creep wave, but Jo also uses his Eclipse and his BKB. So it's not even like they lost out on that much there, because his Eclipse is a longer cooldown than, of course, that Omni Slash is. So the chase is on right now. Dread, he wants to find somebody. He's going to find Beatus. Are they going to actually try to fight this? The RP is up. Fear, he pops the Carapace, but BZZ, he's got that BKB activated. Dread, of course, with that gem, he is going to be able to see Fear, but Beat is the only one going to be going down. But the Tier 1 actually ends up dropping anyway to just a couple of creeps. So EG, they trade a support, but they get a tower in the process.
It's really nice for them to get the tower. I'm guessing a bit greedy by Roxas to chase it when they actually had a full creep wave pushing into the tower. But in the end, like you mentioned, they used the Eclipse as well as a BKB charge on Yeo, and those BKB charges are going to be very important going into the later stages of the game. With the cooldown going out, you need to have that BKB up as long as possible. Especially if Vanscore steals something big, like either an Impale from the Nyx or an RP once again.
BZZ skips the MKB, just goes for lifesteal. So he buys a Helm of the Dominator instead. Sure, it's an extra 20 damage, a couple of extra armor, of course, and it allows you to stay at a higher threshold of hit points while you're farming, which is really nice because it means when you go to a fight, you're never going to have to be like, oh, I don't have any health guys that can't fight. It's always going to be like, we can take it, no problem. So, Rock's Kiss, they're still getting very, very farmed, and Luna isn't really that far behind BZZ, so Jayo's doing a pretty good job. He's still got his Yasha, he's got the BKB, and of course the drums, but it's so hard to utilize his ultimate in these team fights. Like, every ultimate I've seen, it just hasn't really done anything. You know, it's more like a zoning Eclipse than anything else, so they haven't really been able to utilize that. I haven't really felt Demon's presence in the fights either. The last time I saw him, he walked in and basically died because he got RP, called down, and ate a rocket barrage, so EG seemingly not doing too well in the fights this game.
Yeah, and even though Luna's not too far behind, it's about 3,000 net worth behind the Gyrocopter, I still feel that looking over to the items, Luna just feels a lot weaker than Gyro at this stage. Gyro got a lifesteal, Luna's got a BKB and a Yasha like you mentioned, but there's no real damage coming out of Luna. There's a Demon Edge on the Gyro and lifesteal, plus a BKB. It's just that it feels like they have so much more going the way of Roxkiss, and if they can keep on abusing this healing ward, just getting some really nice pushes going, it's going to look very good for them.
Well, EG is sitting in the base right now, maybe looking for another smoke, and yep, here we go. So EG, they smoke his 5. Age is going to be dropping here in about a minute, so this is actually a pretty good timing window. By the time EG get there, it's either going to be right when or at least near when the Aegis of BZZ is going to be going down. And Bambo really only needs the one good RP to really turn it around. He needs to be able to hit Vanscore especially, just to make sure that that doesn't happen twice, because you don't usually see a 4-man RP go bad for your team. And that was one of the few situations where we actually got a chance to see it. But they're going to spot out Dread. Dread actually has that gem. He's going to spot it out. He 4-steps back after the blink. Is like, maybe I don't want to go on this. And rightfully so, as the rest of EG were there to back him up. But no fight actually going to occur. It's nighttime now. Actually, I believe that's an ultimate pop by Demon. So it's not actually natural night just yet. And it's going to be fading here in a little bit.
And Roxy's going for a smoke here. They might be able to catch off Beatis if they can actually get the Firefly going, but Dread is not close enough to be able to spot him out. Bambo's still farming in the jungle though, which means that they might catch him, but I believe he actually... No, he did not see them. Farming the Ancients, Roxy's moving the way up, but I don't think any fight is going to occur here.
They are so lucky that BZZ and Solo didn't keep walking into the lane, because they would have seen Bambo. And Bambo just had to blink out of the opponent's woods right there. So he was actually very, very close to dying, and got a mouse issue here on the side of EG, but it's all fine and well. It's 9-7 here in game number 3 between Rox, Kiss, and EG. This is the TI3 Western Qualifiers, of course. Over $2 million prize pool right now, so big shout out to everyone who's supporting by buying compendiums and such. And Rox, Kiss, with the don't unpause, we want to make sure that everyone's good to go before we get things underway here. And I gotta say, the supports this tournament still, for me, even Vanscore aside, like, just talk about Fear for a while, his performance the other day, especially when he was playing on that Nyx thing Undying. It's been the support qualifier, basically.
It's been all about the supports. Their movement, their way of controlling the game, that's really shown how the games have ended up. You saw, like you mentioned, Fear on the Undying as well as the Nyx Assassin, really just controlling the games from the support heroes, making sure you can leave room for your carries to just farm up as much as possible. And on the side of Roxy's, of course, they got Vanscore, and he's been playing so well during this whole qualifier.
I don't think we can really say enough. It seems like we're talking about him pretty often, but it's still like, in these circumstances, to perform this well under this much pressure.
Yeah.
I gotta say, I am a fan. I didn't know much about him before, but he has made a fan, at least in these qualifiers, of one man, one caster, and it's going to be me. So We still got to pause here for a little while longer, I'm sure. 30 seconds, says Yul, before we get the game back underway. And EG, they're still pretty much just chilling in their base. The Aegis is going to be down probably by the next time there's a team fight. So BZZ not going to have that second life to rely on. It's going to be that one fight. The one fight. Can Bambo find the RP? Is Vanscore going to steal it again? Can they kill BZZ before too much damage is dealt by him? Or is Dread going to find the perfect opportunity, maybe be able to catch Bambo, maybe be able to catch somebody like the Luna, and just burst them?
You know, want to know what I feel like BCC should actually do at this point? He should just try and farm up a Satanic and then go for a straight Rapier. Because even if he gets caught out, there isn't enough burst on the side of EG. I mean, they got burst, but I don't think they can actually kill off BCC unless they catch him out solo. And with the way Roxas is playing, they're never going to get caught solo, unless now, of course, BCC farming in the jungle. But once they pick up something like that, they're just going to find man. And if he has a Satanic and a Rapier, there's no way they're going to kill him. Because if they don't burst him during the RP, before he pops Satanic, he's just going to kill everybody with that Rapier. And you don't have to go it when you're behind. We've seen that from Dignitas. Aoi loves to go it when he's ahead, just to make sure that they can actually win the game properly and just end it because they have enough damage. So I would love to see that. We'll most likely though see an MKB, of course, as we're actually going to see him finishing off. So MKB is going to be the choice. It's a nice damage item still, but that Rapier thing I think would have been really good for them as well.
Yeah, a lot of choices actually, and if you're in his shoes right now. And speaking of choices, looks like Vlad's is going to be the next one for solo here in middle lane. He's got another 2,000 gold on top of that Vlad's that he just finished, and this is a build that he just favors. I mean, going for the extra health and having the treads and the extra durability of having the Aghanims and the drums together, it makes it so he's almost guaranteed to live long enough to Omni. That's pretty much the goal, is make sure that you get the Omni slash off, and there aren't really a whole lot of ways on the side of EG to stop it just yet. I'm pretty sure that nobody has a Ghost Scepter, and of course Fear is going to be working his way towards a Blink more than anything else. So yeah, this Omni is still going to be incredibly effective for at least the next 10 to 15 minutes before these supports get any other items. And talking about efficiency, Bambo, he's got a refresher now. He does not have enough mana to use it, unfortunately. I believe you need 975 minimum to be able to double ulti at least level 16, because RP goes up by 50 mana per rank. But he's got enough to do it right now, but if he hits 16, he won't have enough.
He still needs to have both the Arcane Boots up. He needs to use Arcane Boots straight after the first RP, or before he refreshes and then refresh. Use another Arcane Boots and then he can get the RP off. Just to be on the safe side, of course. Might even want to try and get the stat level at level 14 to make sure, but Roxas trying to go for a smoke, not really going to find anything, and looks like they might just want to try and go for a push. Either wait out Roche and go with the next Aegis, or just wait everything out a bit and just play it safe.
I think playing it safe has been this entire best of three.
Yeah.
If you're both teams, I mean, let's look at game one. EG, they didn't even want to fight for 55 minutes. And they took one pretty good fight and the game was pretty much over. But it's more or less just how well you can control the map and how well your supports are doing for you. Dread, he's going to pop his Firefly. He's looking for somebody, but at the moment he's not going to be able to spot anyone at all. He's trying to reveal his smoke, and Fear, he's down here right by the hill, potentially trying to initiate on BZZ. Vanscore still standing in a very, very good position. Are they going to go? BZZ pops BKB straight away. The cooldown's going to be there. An Eclipse on Yoli. He's going to eat pretty much the entire thing. Bambo with an RP. Vanscore gets silenced, though, by Demon. He knows the target he wants to go for. There's going to be another RP coming out from Bambo. It's going to hit 3 of Rock's Kiss. The follow-up Impale is going to hit everyone, and Solo is going to be dropping here. Gem on the ground. Another disruption. A beautiful play coming out from EG. What coordination, knowing to go for Vanscore straight away as soon as the RP came out. Didn't give him the opportunity to steal an RP this time, and they wipe Rock's Kiss off the map.
Such great play coming out of EG. They're getting both the RPs out, the silence being up on Vanscore during or right after the second RP, Demon really knowing what target to prioritize. Roshan's going to be coming up quite soon, which means that they're going to be able to pick up that Aegis themselves and get it to Luna, which opens up even more pushing potential for them. So, superb fight coming out of EG, and this Aegis is going to be important for them.
This is absolutely huge. Honestly, if you had asked me 5 minutes ago who I thought was going to win the next fight, it would have been Rock's Kiss, like pretty much hands down. But the coordination coming out from EG, As James was saying, actually, before this best 3 even started, American teams, they perform under pressure. They find the openings, they make the big team fights happen, and they just did right there. Because if they didn't win that fight, it almost would have been game over. Like, that was a game-winning fight for Rock's Kiss if they managed to win it in convincing fashion. So, Aegis going the way of EG. It's going to be given to Jo, who now has his Manta completed and a BKB, so his damage output still not amazing, but if he gets one more item, say he gets the Butterfly, say he gets a Satanic, he's going to become an absolute terror in these team fights.
Butterfly wouldn't be bad, even though, of course, Gyrocopter's picked up an MKB. It's always a nice item to get the Butterfly.
BZZ, you can see he pops the BKB right here. Bambo, he's looking for the RP. The Eclipse isolates Yul pretty well. Here comes Bambo. First RP, hits 3. Demon is already on Vanscourt. Bambo, he pops the Refresher. He even gets Flame Break even closer to the other members of Rock's Kiss. And sure, he ends up paying with his life, but Fear's there with the follow-up 3-man RP. They manage to get the Soul Catcher onto Solo, the Disruption just to secure the last kill. So not only do they win that fight, they pick up the gem, and they only lose 1.
One of the biggest mistakes that I saw in that fight is that Dread actually jumped an illusion of Luna. I believe he actually lasted an illusion instead of going for someone like Bambo. If he would have lasted Bambo instead, or Demon in that fight, that could have been so much different. Because if he would have went for Demon, no silence would have come out on Vanscourt, which means that they might have been able to steal the RP and get a counter RP going instead. But now, jumped an illusion, Lasso didn't really do anything whatsoever. He got killed off really fast. And then, of course, Bambo getting both those great RPs.
And we can take a look at the experience graph after that. It's like, oh dear, what has happened? The experience lead for Rock's Kiss just disappeared, basically, in the last couple of minutes. And they're still leading in gold, but not by a wide enough margin to where I feel like they're going to be comfortable. Demon, he's got the haster, and he wants to find BZZ, but of course he does have that BKB. Perfect timing again coming out. But, I mean, that's now down to 5 seconds, so he did escape the gank, but 5-second BKB in these later game team fights, that's not really a huge deal if you're EG. You're going to be able to burst him down after that, no problem.
Yeah, the BKB isn't really doing too much for him. The only thing he's dodging is actually the Eclipse as well as the Impale at this point, because RP is just doing so much. And you can just RP through the BKB anyway, so if you can keep him locked down during the whole RP, or during both RPs, which is going to lock him down through the whole of the BKB, you're going to be able to follow up with a full Eclipse on him, and that's going to do a lot of damage.
Radiant's bottom tower.
And Jo continues his farm here in this bottom lane. The Eclipse, for me personally, haven't really been amazing, you know? He did a little bit of damage to Yul during the last fight when he popped it, but more or less, it's about the physical damage, it's about Demon, it's about Bambo getting the RPs, and even Fear finding that nice follow-up Impale. So it's kind of like everything just working together for EG for the last couple of minutes. And Rock's Kiss, the momentum has pretty much been all theirs until that last fight, but this is what happens when you play safe styles, because if you're not going to be taking a fight, and you wait until 35-40 minutes to take a fight, and you don't win it, you're getting punished a heck of a lot harder than you would earlier inside of the game. And I think Dendy is actually the player who brought it up first. Well, I'm sure people were thinking of it beforehand, but it's like, if you go late, you better be damn sure you can win the fights.
Yeah, if you lose those fights, use a buyback and don't actually get anything out of that buyback, then you got a 5-minute cooldown where if you get killed once again, you're pretty much going to lose the game, especially on the core hero like the hard carry, which is, in this case, of course, for Roxy, is the Gyrocopter and the Luna on the side of EG. So it's really risky, pushing it really, really late, but we'll have to see if EG might want to try and go for something like a mid push here. BCC pushing out the bottom lane, which means that EG might be forced to go back. They might just backdoor the top tower as well while they're at it, and then just see if they can go for a base push or go back and defend the top tower. Or bottom tower.
EG doing what Rock's Kiss actually did to them in Game 2, using that disruption to add a little bit more pushing power, and they can actually outdamage the back door, but they're going to have to retreat anyway, because Rock's Kiss are like, hey, stop that, we like our tier 2 tower top lane, and we don't want you to do that anymore. So Dread, he's got the Firefly popped, he wants to try to go for somebody, and he might be able to catch Jo. I'm not sure if that's the best choice, though. Of course, Jo going to have those 2 lives, and of course he's got 4,100 gold too, so for him, I'm thinking Butterfly might be the next choice, just to get the extra damage output. I feel like a Helm of the Dominator into a Satanic would be not enough damage. Like, he just needs to do a little bit more.
I mean, you would be able to survive, but if they don't get those perfect team fights, he's not going to have enough damage in those fights, which means that he needs to get a lot more. Soul is just going to spin straight away. They might be able to get him here unless the Omnislash Silence is going to come out.
And Fear with the blink in, he's going to get the impale off. Can they actually save Solo in the situation? He's just barely going to go down. Vanscore going to be the next one to drop. BZZ, he gets RP'd in with y'all. It's a buyback, a double RP coming out from Bambo. Can they get BZZ down fast enough? There's just buybacks all over the place on the side of Rock's Kiss. 4 buybacks. Dread, he finds Demon as Solo actually manages to pick off Fear outside of the base. The amount of buybacks that Rock's Kiss just had to spend right there. They do manage to get Demon. They managed to get Fear. But I don't want to use a cliche phrase, but at what cost?
Yeah, I mean, they just forced 4 buybacks, I believe.
Yeah.
Vanscore in the end actually stole RP, but he didn't manage to get it out, so he'll have it for the next fight. But if Demon does what he's been doing in pretty much every fight so far, he's just going to silence Vanscore right as it happens, or before he actually wants to try and go in, which means that he's not going to be able to get it out, though, but Demon's got a buyback. He's up in 20 seconds. They might just want to try and force this since they probably believe that they don't have any buybacks.
Well, Aegis is actually going to be fading for this push. So EG are now in a very dangerous situation. They do have buyback, of course, on Demon. But are they going to have it if he dies again? That's the question, because he has enough money for it right this second. But if he gets killed, of course, he's going to be losing even more money. So Rock's Kiss, this is one of the few opportunities they have to really apply some pressure. Dread going to be looking for a lasso, but it was actually on cooldown for a few more seconds, and Fear sitting here in bottom lane, maybe looking for a couple of stragglers. But Rock's Kiss, they're moving as 5. There's nothing basically on the map of EG right now in terms of towers, and they don't have any vision at all except for one sentry that's way off in the middle of nowhere. And Rock's Kiss, of course, they have 1 ward at the top rune spot that's going to be fading. So it's 41 minutes in. It's 12-16 here in Game 3. And this is honestly still ridiculously close. Looking at the net worths, the Gyrocopter and the Luna are very close. You can see that Bambo and Demon, they're sitting at above, not really a whole lot of lead, like maybe 2,000 or so. But this is still anyone's game to take.
Yeah, it really depends on how the fights look. If Vansco manages to steal an RP, like it did in the fight in the Radiant jungle, then it's going to be devastating for EG. But if they can just manage to either keep him silenced during the fight, if they actually take a fight during the night, or if they can catch him in that double RP out of Bambo, then the fight will most likely go the way of EG, unless, of course, Vanscore, or I mean, BCC can just stand on the sidelines and do as much damage as he wants.
I don't know if he's going to get that chance, honestly. I think Bambo, even during the last fight when they were trying to fight by the base and we saw the 4 buybacks, he went right for BZZ. He said, I don't care about anyone else on your team, I'm RPing you. And Vanscore even stole the RP, but it didn't matter because he just died straight after the fact, and he got carapaced, of course, by Fear. But he's going to have RP for the next fight. The question is, without a blink, how is he really going to be able to use it?
There are blink daggers, by the way, on every member on EG except for Demon. Even Beatus picked up a blink dagger now, so they have what's needed to be able to jump in and save someone, or just be in the backlines and disrupt someone if Vanscore actually managed to get that stolen RP out. He's lost it now, though. It actually did run out, so he's going to have to seal it again, and it's still nighttime, which means that that silence is going to be 8 seconds. And
8 seconds is dead.
Your whole team, either you're dead during those 8 seconds, or the rest of your team is dead. That's just how it's going to be.
Rock's Kiss actually with the better positioning here. They're going to be the ones forcing EG off of their side of the map. They should be able to get the tier 2 bottom, and they do. But at the very least, making it so EG's not just walking up to your base and trying to push you, that's okay for them. Because ultimately, if they want to contest the next Roshan, they have a pretty decent composition for AoE, and they don't have to necessarily stay that stacked up either. I mean, Solo's going to be in the front, and then you're going to have basically BZZ trying to get some flat cannon shots off. But this area is probably going to be where one of the last fights of the game actually takes place. We can see Satanic now finished up on BZZ. So he was very hard to kill before. Now it's going to be ridiculously hard.
That was going to be really, really hard, especially if he manages to go for another item after this. If he can manage to pick up a butterfly, he's pretty much going to be impossible to kill, because Luna just picked up her own butterfly, which means that NMKB for her is going to be quite far away, and you might not even want to go for it right now just because you want to get some lifesteal up on that Luna so you can survive in the fights. You want to finish up with Satanic, because if you get caught out, you're pretty much going to die if you don't get your BKB out.
Roshan spawning in about 30 seconds. We can see Rock's Kiss there. not really out of position per se. It looks like they're just trying to push the top lane, maybe emphasize pushing mid a little bit more with BZZ before that Roshan spawns. That way you know where EG is going to be coming from. They're going to have to come from that high spot. But they're looping around right now. They can't see Rock's Kiss at all. No team has much vision. Actually, Rock's Kiss had absolutely zero, where EG have a little bit. And Roshan's going to be spawning here, so they're going to spot out the ward. It's going to be some dewarding done. And Rock's Kiss, they're going to say, you want to go for Roshan? We're going to go for your base, and EG have to make this choice. They have to go back. They can't lose the Rax at this stage. And Demon, he's going to get lassoed. He gets pulled back. The Carapace stun onto Dread, followed by a double RP. We need Bambo here for an RP, but he's not here just yet. Here he comes in the back. He's not going to be able to get it. Demon looking like he will be able to live through this damage. Solo just so far inside of the base. Tries to go for the Omni, but he gives away a kill. The push from Rock's Kiss has been halted right then and there. With Solo down, there's no way they can continue this, and EG are going to be able to go get Roche.
Yeah, EG's going to have an easy time getting the Roche down now. Even if Solo buys back, he's not going to have Omni Slash up, which means that the main damage from him is going to be down. And Roxas can't really contend this because they need the Omni Knight or the Juggernaut to be in front with that Omni Slash, trying to split up EG so BCC can do as much damage as possible with the Flat Cannon. But now they should be able to pick up an easy Aegis if they actually want to go for it. But Dread is just trying to split push up in top of it, which could be devastating. Fear is up here with a Vendetta.
And so is Beatus. It's the double blank. Here comes the Disruption. Fear coming in. He wants to try to find the Soul Catcher, but simply can't, so there's no follow-up damage at all. I think maybe he should have just went with a Purge instead of the Disruption. That was a Beatus play.
Yeah, Beatus. Yeah. Anyways, Jo is going to be able to pick up the Aegis, and is this actually the third Roche? So they're going to get Shees as well? I believe it is. Yeah, Shees is going to come up, Demon's going to pick that up, Jo's going to get the Aegis. 2,400 gold up on Yeo as well, which means that he should have a buyback if he actually gets picked off even more. Or he can just finish off Boots of Travel with the Aegis up already.
This is such a hard spot for Rock's Kiss, and during the early part of the mid-game, when they had that fight inside of their woods, we thought that they were going to have just this huge advantage stretching on for quite a long time. And whenever you have these late games, you're relying on the one fight. You know, the one RP, the one stolen RP if you're on the side of Rock's Kiss. And that's putting a lot of pressure on poor Vanscore, man. I mean, the guy's already performed well enough. You don't have to make him have to steal that ultimate every single fight. And there's actually going to be smoke up here inside of the base of Rock's Kiss. They're going to try to catch EG unprepared, and that's what you have to do here. You can't just let EG walk up to your base unobstructed and start hitting the racks, because at that point, you've basically submitted to the fact that you're going to lose it.
You need to initiate on EG, and what would be best to initiate on is Bambo, like Dread is going to do right now.
Yeah, they're going to be able to catch him out. The Omni Slash is there, but Bambo actually living through it for some time. Beat is actually going to be the first one to go down on the side of EG. Here comes the spin coming out. Jo actually going to be dropped. A buyback comes out, and Bambo, he hits the 3-man RP. Vanscore is not there to steal the RP this time. It's going to be a second one to follow it up, but BZZ, he's got that lifesteal. Can he actually live through this? The Healing Ward is trying to do work, but it just doesn't matter. More buybacks coming out on the side of Rock's Kiss. The Healing Ward actually keeping Yellow alive for a little bit longer, but that is a Scepter Night Stalker. There is no juking him as Demon. He picks up the double. So BZZ and Solo, they're still alive. I don't actually think EG can push this.
Bambo didn't actually use his second RP. He did not have enough mana for it. He did buy back, so he's coming down with a creep wave, which means that they should probably be able to push this, because BCC's got his cooldown up, but Jo can just go into the base, cleave down, and Disruption going out from Beatus.
They want to try to go on BZZ, the Disruption, and of course, the Soul Catcher along with the Demonic Purge are going to be there. Here come the TP from Rock's Kiss. They will get the tier 3. But double buyback. It looks like Dread and Yol both buy back on top of that. They really just do not want to give up their racks. Dread, he's going for a kill. The Beatus with that Blink Dagger is actually a little bit too elusive, so he will be able to escape. And did he just kill the gem?
I think he did.
He thought he was going to die, actually. Yeah, that's why he killed him. But there's a haste rune here, so Beatus, maybe I could have kept it. Oh, maybe not. Dread actually pulling him the wrong way. Could have pulled him up to the high ground instead, but yeah, Beatus is actually going to be fine. So Dread with a little bit of interesting plays.
Yeah.
Actually, he didn't have Firefly. Never mind. But he did have a Force Staff, so yeah, he could have brought him up to the high ground regardless. Interesting plays all around here so far.
Yeah, it's very interesting to see. I believe that, yeah, Demon actually did pick up the gem on the side of Roxas, so it didn't really matter that Beatus killed off the one they had, so they're still looking very good. They have a gem, and they got the Aghanim's up on the Night Stalker.
And we could see right here, BZZ, he pops the BKB incredibly early, and Dread, he finds Bambo. Bambo actually lives through this, and Jo just eats an entire Omni all on his own. Beatus dies over there on the north side. The Bat Rider dies, Gem on the ground. Jo, he's going to get his Aegis popped. Bambo comes in, actually stutters the first RP, but manages to hit Yul, Solo, and BZZ. Another triple impale, and yeah, he uses a Shockwave right here, and he's like, oh, I don't have enough mana for my second RP. So Fear, he gets the Carapace, but ends up dropping there to Yul. Solo, I believe, actually does escape this engagement, and Demon's just chasing down this poor Bambi, and like you said, Scepter, there's just no juking to be had. He gets the extra auto attack off, and it's going to be an easy kill. And Rock's Kiss, they didn't have to buy back so many times. I feel like they would be in a great position, but there was 4 buybacks earlier. There was just, I want to say, 3 or 4 more. And looking at the experience in gold, yeah, it's not even in their favor anymore, and you've also committed probably close to 7,000-8,000 gold and just buyback. Solo, he's going to get caught by himself. The Demonic Purge is there, and another disruption and an impale, actually a bit of miscoordination, but dear lord, Dread just died pretty much instantly. They were wanting to kill him very badly. They just popped the Eclipse. They're like, you know what? You're dead. You're not going to live. And we could see Magnus actually, gonna see an Omni Slash go out in the middle lane. Demon actually eating the entirety of it by himself, just gonna run away from his own team. Gonna be giving away a kill, has to buy back. He's gonna start running back. Not really sure what EG is doing right now. This could be the EG curse, it could be the EG throws. Bambo, he pops the refresher, he gets a 3-man RP, but Vanscore, he steals the RP, but only hits 1! Unfortunate timing by Vanscore. Beat is incredibly low. Bambo, gonna be low himself. Disruption actually onto Beat his Jo, getting chased out. BZZ, he's gonna pick up a double kill. They're gonna be able to kill Jo on top of this. Unbelievable turnaround coming out from Rock's Kiss. What the heck are EG doing right now? Demon, he's alive, but he can't do anything on his own. I don't even know what to say for that.
Bambo even used the refresher before he used his first RP. No, he shockwave, refreshed, and blinked in. Oh, he did. Oh, well, yeah, I mean...
That's not any better, let's be honest. I mean, that's... If you RP the ground, refresh, go in, then get an RP afterwards, it's like, well... This fight has really not gone in our favor. And it all started off by Demon just walking forward and eating a whole Omni by himself. You had a Mantid Luna back there that you could have walked to and at least split some of the damage. But Rock's Kiss, they turn it around. They're going to get a melee rack. They're even going to get the ranged in middle lane. And BZZ at this point is unbelievably tanky. There's no RP. There's no refresher. And now all of a sudden Gyrocopter's up to 3,900 gold.
Just wow, the Gyrocopter is going to be able to finish off a Butterfly if he wants to as well quite soon. And if they keep farming like this, I mean, they're going to take a Rax, or they took a Rax mid, which means that EG has to force a push in mid. And if they keep fighting like that, it's going to be really, really tough for them.
Fear, he really wants to find Dread right now. He spots him, but it's too difficult. And there's just a casual gem on the ground right there, so Fear manages to pick it up. And that's got to be a scary thing for EG, because with that many buybacks, it's like you just gave away a lot of gold, but then Rock's Kiss, they won a ridiculous fight.
It was a really weird fight.
We're going to get to see it here, and it all starts off, it's like Demon. Yeah, Bambo on the back. He tries to go for the RP, bam, gets Flak Cannon, can't RP because he can't blink. Or did he just RP the ground? Did he not even get Flak Cannon there? Doesn't look like it. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah, we see him use it, Trans.
What did he get hit by?
It looks like he got hit by a glaive. Yeah. Enchantress, yeah. He took one of them, and the glaive hit him. See, it bounced to him, so he couldn't actually get it off. And yeah, Jo, he tries to retreat right here. And then eventually Bambo's like, okay, I'm going to pop the refresher. I get the 3-man RP. But Demon is already dead at this point. He can't get back into the fight. Vanscore steals an RP. It doesn't get close enough to actually hit more than one. And then, of course, the fight pretty much just goes south from here. I just, like, I can't get over what was Demon and Bambo doing right there.
It was really weird. That was kind of like watching EG throws one again. Or
it's the EG curse.
Yeah, I mean... They've been playing so well, and suddenly it just looked like watching the old EG team, where it's like they have an advantage, and then suddenly EG throw. But they might be able to catch up.
They know he's here. They have the Scepter on Demon. They're going to be able to spot him. The Centaur's going to be able to get a stomp. A Fear goes in first. Here comes Solo. He wants to try to find that Omni. He gets silenced first. The BKB by BZZ. He's doing flat cannon damage. No one's really focusing him at all, but Solo dies before he can even get his ultimate off. There's no buybacks just yet. It's basically just a 1 for 0 in favor of EG. They find BZZ without his BKB. Now they're going to turn around and focus him. The refresher gets used. Bambo wanted to go for a second RP on just him, and there's buybacks coming out on the side of Roxkiss. An amazing fight previously, but Roxkiss now seemingly to be in a lot of trouble. Vanscore, he's going to get skewered. Give the double to Bambo with a shockwave after that, and there's buybacks still coming out on the side of Roxkiss. No one else on the map at all can buy back into the game, and there's 3 dead right now for Roxkiss.
Another really weird engagement. I'd say it was just like Yol getting caught out. He knew his team was pushing. I mean, of course you want to pick up a creep, but why stay and farm the easy camp or the medium camp when the rest of your team is leaving? Force them into a very weird engagement. Vanskar got a really nice double RP though, but still wasn't really enough, especially since Bamboo just RP down BCC after the BKB and he couldn't do enough damage, forcing BCC to buy back, which means that his butterfly is gonna be put back even more.
Well, either team's still well within reach of winning this game, which is really awkward to say, but BZC's closing in on his butterfly. He's closing in on that butterfly. He's got his Talisman of Evasion, 3,500 gold on top of that. Once he gets it, they're not really going to have anything in terms of a team fight. You can't really use that last team fight as an indicator of how Roxkiss can actually play because Yul died pretty much straight away. So they're not going to have the impetus damage from him when he gets bursted down like that. And of course the follow-up is going to be much, much weaker because Solo had to walk in alone, got silenced, and just flopped over. So that was like the worst case scenario coming out from Roxkiss. Now, they're not going to let it happen again. They can't, actually, because if they do, it could just be the end of the game right there. And they still have the advantage in the fact that they have middle racks down in their favor. So it's always going to be pushing their way. They can do what they're doing right now, which is just push a lane really, really hard. And because of the fact that EG always have to commit one, they're going to be at least forcing TPs, forcing EG to play in the defensive position. And the longer this game goes on, the bigger opportunity there's going to be for a Rapier. But Luna actually manages to get a Satanic of her own now, and she is going to be going for a Daedalus. So not going the route of MKB, just going for the pure damage build.
And there isn't actually any buybacks up whatsoever except for the Magnus. Right now, the Mag just got enough money for a buyback, and if Roxkiss forces this, it's either going to be a win or lose scenario because, like I said, no buybacks. If they win the fight, they're going to win the game, but if they lose the fight, they're for sure going to lose the game. Even though EG is going to push the whole wave down, they won't have enough gold to be able to buy back, and everybody's such high level that they're going to be down for long enough for EG to at least push another X.
Roshan is up now, so this is, for both teams, equally important. This is another cheese. So this is actually the 4th Roshan of the game. And this is such a tense situation for both teams. You really don't want to get knocked down to the lower bracket. Sure, you're going to have a chance to make it back. I think EG would still feel okay if they lost here because, let's be honest, EG have been playing very, very well throughout the entire tournament. But this is the first sign of weakness they've shown. And you don't want to show it in the playoffs where you get knocked down, maybe you just lose 2 in a row. You don't want to be LGD China when they went to TI2, didn't drop a single game, then dropped 2 in a row and they're gone. You know, you don't want to do that. So this is still equally as important, I think, for them, just in terms of morale and maintaining a pretty good set of mind.
I'm a bit surprised to see that EG didn't actually just go in for the Roach and started doing a bit more damage on him, just because they got the Night Stalker with the Aghanims, which means that they're going to have the vision advantage. Even though they got a Bat Rider with a Firefly, you're still going to see when the Bat Rider actually comes in. They got a gem as well, which means that they're going to spot out a smoke. So, tiny bit surprised to see that, but they might just move down towards it now. But Roxkiss, they're going back to their side of the river now.
A Butterfly on BZZ, his damage output, his survivability in these team fights is going to be absolutely insane. And EG, they've got some tanky heroes themselves. Fear, of course, he's got himself a Force Staff, but still no Ghost Scepter on him. And Betas, he unfortunately does not have a Ghost Scepter either because he invested heavily into that Blink, and that's an aggressive choice. I mean, you can't say a Blink Shadow Demon is anything other than, hey, we want to find the kills. And Juggernaut, he picks up a Shadow Blade, so apparently a post-50-minute Shadow Blade is going to be the choice for him. EG, though, they're continuing to beat Roshan down. They get it for free. There's actually no reaction from Roxkiss. Roxkiss suddenly realize they're like, hey, we need to get out of here, and Jo actually drops his Crystallis on the ground. So they're going to have to send in the courier to actually pick that up. But Roxkiss, of course, way too scared to walk towards that pit right now. And this could be the advantage that EG need to equalize the racks.
EG's got two buybacks up now on their team. They got the Night Stalker as well as the Magnus. So
yeah, but no boots of travel.
But yeah, exactly. So if they actually get picked off, that's going to be quite devastating for them. Bambo working his way towards the BKB, as it looks like. He's going to have it in about 500 gold, which is going to be quite big for them to have in the fights as well. Just being able to go in from the side and get a nice RP out as well. Not going to be able to be stopped, unless, of course, he gets hit by a flat cannon. So it's always going to be a nice pickup for them. But this is just such a tense moment. No one really wants to commit, because if you lose the fight, you're going to lose the game for sure.
Yeah, it's getting to that point. It's 59 minutes in to game number 3. This has been, hands down, the longest best-of-3 series we've had for the entire qualifier. There's no doubt about that. So, we're looking at that 60-minute mark. All you Compendium users, be watching out for that. This is, I don't know, this has got to be one of the most stressful games I think either team have played in a very, very long time. And again, they can come back, but it's just, you don't want to be in that position. You don't want to be the guys who have to continue playing and go to this stage where it's like, if we lose here, then it's over. You don't ever want to be in that spot. So, EG, they're grouped up here. They're trying to push down that middle lane, at least for the time being. They might try to back up and wait maybe for Bambo's BKB. That could help them out tremendously. And just being able to get in without getting stunned out, or by homing missile, of course, and telekinesis, you can still get your RP stolen, but it's not really as scary if you don't have to worry about that mass AoE damage.
Yeah, you really want to be able to dodge out as much as possible to be able to get in and get those RPs. And BCC was actually farming quite far up. I believe he was up in the top lane, close to where Demon is right now, just farming the lane. So he's getting a lot of farm, but he's still not really close to any item whatsoever. He's got his buyback up, though, in about 150 gold, so that's going to be good for him, but he still needs to pick up something else to have enough damage in these fights.
And the one thing that's interesting to note is that it's not really better, I would say, to not have an Aegis, but you also have to consider that BCC has an extra inventory slot, whereas one of them is being taken up by the Aegis right now of Luna, and Luna's damage is still good, but it's not incredible because she can't actually hold on to the Crystallis or the Daedalus that she's working towards, and Gyrocopter's still holding on to a TP, but as time goes on, he's going to fill that inventory slot. So if the next fight happens and BCC gets an item, because he's going to be forced to TP back right now, like he's going to see this wave and be like, okay, yeah, I need to maybe pick up something else before this next fight. This is going to be pretty much it, I think, for both teams. This could very well be the last fight in this whole best-of-3.
Yeah, Roxas has to defend this base. I mean, BCC is going to see if he can get some pressure out in the top lane, but he's not going to. He's not going to have enough damage to bring this tier 3 tower down, and
this is a mistake.
He's just hesitating so much.
Yeah, this is a huge mistake from Roxkiss. That was just, I don't know. They just gave away the racks. Maybe they didn't think they could win a fight. Maybe they just thought that if they tried to fight, that they would just lose 2 sets of racks. But it's one thing if you're going to just sacrifice the racks, but you've also blown Glyph. So now you're putting even more emphasis on the next fight. It's saying, hey, if we don't win this, it's guaranteed game over. There's not even a chance of coming back after that because your whole base is just going to die. So not only did they not defend, but they glyphed and then didn't defend. That, for me, is like a questionable choice. And
BCC had a full creep wave up in the enemy base as well, up in EG's base. And he just kind of like backed out and watched his racks go down. And then he TP'd back to the base when he saw the first TP coming. Instead of actually doing something, getting some extra tower damage out. I mean, the tower is at 700 HP. That's like 6 shots from him and it's dead. But he just did nothing, and they lost the mid-racks, which is kind of bad for them, but it equals out their axes, though. I mean, Roxas is a bit ahead since they got the tier 2 tower up in top still. But if EG wins the fight, they're just going to go throne. It doesn't really matter if they have the tier 2 tower up in top.
It's getting about that time. 62.5 minutes in, the next Roshan is going to be spawning in a little over 5 minutes, and of course the Aegis is going to be fading in about a minute and a half. So, I mean, we could see another Roshan, I guess. Wouldn't put it past them. Both teams still playing this incredibly cautious. We can see that Luna is sitting on about 5,000. He can finish that full Daedalus if he wants to. But I think EG are going to be quite happy with the fact that Aegis was popped during that push. Because or a Glyph, excuse me, was popped during the push. Because now they can go in and just be like, yeah, this is the fight that we can just win. Still 3 minutes on fortification here for Roxkiss. So they're emphasizing this next fight pretty heavily. And by pretty heavily, I mean this could be the last shot.
Yeah, this could for sure be the last fight, and Roxas has to defend this. Like you mentioned, they don't have a Glyph, and BCC as well as Vanscore are not going to be able to split push this fast enough. BCC got 5.2k gold, but it's not enough to pick up a Rapier if he actually wants to go for it, and he's going to get the tier 3 tower, but
Gonna be hitting a whole heck of a lot of creeps, Manta images, and disruption illusions right here in solo. He actually tries to Shadow Blade out, but it's not going to work out for him just yet. He's actually going to get Force Staff back into the base, and yeah, they're trading racks. So, I mean, it's a bottom racks for a top racks trade, but they're just going to go for Throne. It's going to be a base race, but there is no way that Roxkiss can win this base race. BZZ actually teleports back to base. He wants to try to make something happen, but the Throne is actually almost going to be exposed here, and you can see Jo does not give... He does not care about that spin, like not even a little bit. Jo, he actually just pops his ultimate, pops the BKB, he's hitting on the tier 4 right now. Roxkiss, they have to go. They cannot wait any longer. BZZ goes in, he pops the BKB, he's going to pop a Satanic as well. It's Satanic versus Satanic fight. Bambo still looking for a possible RP opportunity. It's going to be a skewer in. The RP actually gets cancelled by the lasso, and Dread, he's actually going to be able to get the kill. BZZ with the double kill. There's buybacks all over the place. 4 buybacks straight away on the side of EG. Demon, he's going to be dropping, and it looks like Roxkiss, they defend their base. Unbelievable lasso coming out from Dread. That was a mid animation right there on that RP, and he didn't manage to use it.
BCC is sending out the curry for a rapier now. It must be a rapier, otherwise it's like he needs it. Yeah, he's buying a rapier. That's needed. They need the extra damage in these fights, but that was just so big for them. That was like a 4-man RP just stopped. It was massive by Dread to be able to get that lasso, and they forced all these buybacks, and they did an equal trade. They got the top racks as well.
The Roxkiss are timing the Aegis timer. I think Roxkiss are actually had the Aegis timer, you know, the 6-minute one, because it looked like they were avoiding every confrontation until it was down.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I just like, that was so intense. If that RP went off, the game was over. Like, no doubt about it, because it would have hit 3, maybe even 4 heroes, and Vanscore might have been far enough away, but at that point, BZZ's BKB's down, his Satanic's down, he really can't fight that much afterwards, so that was amazing defense by Roxkiss. Such patience. You can see Jo right here. He's got the BKB popped, right? He goes straight for the tier 4 tower. And this is where the fight ensues. BZZ's like, I'm the tankiest hero. I have to go in first. He walks in, eats a couple of Lucent Beams from the Eclipse, but it's not really that big of a deal. He pops the BKB straight away. Demon uses the cheese, and he's got his BKB on. Jo, of course, going to have to use his Satanic now. The cooldown's there. And you can see Dread, he wants Bambo so bad, but he actually isn't able to get him. He actually gets skewered into the fight. Here comes the RP, instantly canceled on the animation, and Jo dies. So at this point, Roxkiss, they've pretty much defended their base. And there's 4 members down. Here come the buybacks, and you can just see them right as the screen goes back. There's 4 buybacks on the side of EG, and that's a lot of money, man. I mean, Roxkiss have actually done that twice, but now EG have had to do it.
Yeah, now it's like Roxkiss, they can't take a bad engagement. There's still a double RP out. If they catch BCC out, that's going to be game for sure. I mean, they're going to give away Rapier to Jo. He's going to be able to drop his Daedalus if he wants to, or just a Manta style, and just go straight
Heck, man,
for
just
it.
drop the treads.
Yeah, even better, just drop the BOTs and go for it. They might be able to catch out Demon here, though.
Demon! The Shadow Blade is popped. Demon, of course, has that gem. He's got the AC and the Scepter. A very unfortunate hero to walk into. He pops the BKB. Silence onto solo. BZZ still sitting in the back. Maybe a little bit early on the BKBs coming out from EG. Can they turn it around? The Rapier is here from BZZ. And BDiz, he gets annihilated by the flag cannon damage. Here comes Jo. He's going to be dropping next. The RP comes out from Bambo, but there's no buybacks on the side of EG. This could be it. EG could be going to the lower bracket right here. Bambo, he wants to get away. The impetus damage coming out. He pops the refresher just to be able to get away with a skewer and another blink. He's going to TP back to base, but the flame break is coming out from Dread. And Dread, he wants to kill so bad, and he uses an RP as a last-ditch effort. Unbelievable fight coming out from Roxkiss. They didn't know that he had a Rapier. There's no way they could have known. In the middle lane, we have Fear and Demon both trying to pressure Roxkiss back, but it could be too little too late.
Vanscore got an RP as well, so if they stay here, they might just get killed, and that's going to be the game for sure. Vanscore is going to come in from the side, but it looks like they're just going to try and back out now, and Roxkiss can just go for a base push. I mean, Luna's down for 50 seconds, Bambo's down for 45, and there's no buybacks up whatsoever. Even if Demon and Fear goes down here, they're going to try and go for a base trade maybe, but can they actually push faster than the Gyrocopter with a Rapier?
Well, not only can they push fast enough, do they have enough health? I mean, they're going to be going up against Dread, who, yeah, it's a Bat Rider, not really the most scary hero at this point in the game. But even if one person TPs back, you still have a Rapier Gyrocopter in the push, and it is going to be one person TPing back. It's going to be Solo. So Solo's going to be able to force them out. Here comes the push coming in from BZZ. He's got that Rapier. There's a bit of backdoor protection, but when you have a Rapier, it really just doesn't matter. Disruption coming out from Beatus. He manages to blink to disjoint the impetus damage, and BZZ, he's got the damage output. He actually has disruption images hitting him right now, but the damage coming out from him is just too much. It looks like EG is actually going to be able to defend their last set of racks at the very least, but that was so close to being Megas right there. Unbelievably close, and they're going to be able to pick off Yul in the meantime, who immediately buys back. So there is one Rax left on the side of EG right now, and maybe, just maybe, that was enough damage for Rock's Kiss to secure themselves a win.
Yeah, but the question is, will they actually want to try and push this out now? Because if EG smokes in from the side, I mean, Roxy's got to sit in their base and wait for EG's move. Because they can't push it out. If they die on the other side of the map, of course they're going to have a buyback on the Gyrocopter, as well as the Juggernaut, but they're going to lose the Rapier to Luna if they don't kill the Luna off. So they have to wait for EG to make the move and just try and smoke in. Roche is actually up now, which can be a really big thing for EG if they manage to get the Aegis.
And we can see Solo right here. He gets focused really, really hard, and Dread getting caught off on the top as well. And, I mean, they're going for Roshan right now, but there's no contention coming out so far from Rock's Kiss, and this whole fight that we just saw, this is basically where Rock's Kiss had brought themselves back into the game. But Roshan's going to drop, and Rock's Kiss, they couldn't quite make it happen in time. The Aegis is actually going to be going to Demon. So, Demon, he's got the Aegis now for the next fight. He's got an AC. Who did they actually give the cheese to? Because that was definitely... Oh, it's going to be Bambo. Okay, so Bambo's got the cheese. He's got actually a Sange, so he's going for Heaven's Halberd. This is one of the craziest games I think I've seen in a very, very long time. And that Aegis could have huge implications for the next fight. Because even if BZZ can buy out, if he dies, that's it.
I mean, he needs to farm up at least 4,000 more gold to be able to have the buyback being worth it. He needs to be able to buy a Rapier straight away, and he needs to die in EG's base. Otherwise, they're going to lose the game for sure. If he dies, of course. But he's got the buyback up. He's got 4.4k gold, so if he manages to farm up about 4,000 more, they could actually just sacrifice him once.
I can't even, like... This game, 70 minutes and 30 seconds, and we still don't know which team is going to win. How often have you seen a game where you actually don't know who's going to win, and it's 70 minutes? Look at the gold! It's almost zero! And so is the experience. EG, they're smoked up here in the middle lane. It's actually daytime, which is very bad for EG, considering Demon's ulti is not up for about another 30 seconds. So it's like, this is... I know we've been saying it's it, but this is it! Like, this is a Rapier fight. This is an Aegis fight. Solo bought a Shivas. This Juggernaut build... very innovative, we'll say that. So, his presence in the team fights, all these BKBs are basically going to be down to about 5 seconds. So it's going to be down to the initiation. Bambo, he's got to hit the RP. This is where he absolutely needs to succeed. He's even got a cheese, so if he gets lassoed, maybe he can live long enough to actually get an RP off. We saw that immaculate base defense coming out from Rock's Kiss earlier, as James said. They timed the Aegis, they pushed him out, they win another team fight after they bought the Rapier. This game is just absolutely out of control. And EG, they have to back. Their whole base is basically dead. They've lost melee racks in all 3 lanes, so it gives Rock's Kiss the initiative to make the move.
Yeah, they're getting forced back, and this leaves so much more room for Rock's Kiss to farm, or just go and put some pressure if they actually want to do that. So they could just go for a counter smoke themselves, since EG actually smoked down there, and now being forced back. Because every lane is going to get pushed on the side of Rock's Kiss, or on the side of EG, of course, which means that Rock's Kiss can just pretty much die in their base and still have a buyback. Even though they're going to give a Rapier right now, they still are too scared about losing.
Another Rapier.
Yeah, personally, I think they've got the timer on Aegis again.
Yeah.
They're going to wait.
Well, there's
once
no
it's gone.
reason.
Yeah, there's no reason to do anything. No counter smokes. They just need to make sure that they don't get picked off and lose a fight, and I think they're happy just getting a little bit of farm, and once the 3 minutes are over, that's when you'll see them ready to take a team fight. That's the best way I think Rock's Kiss are available to win. And EG are really on the back foot in terms of just positioning, but the team fight could go either which way.
Even if you see a Jo, like, he's got his Rapier now, right? But it's like, a Rapier on a Luna isn't as potent as a Rapier on a Gyrocopter. Sure, it's going to make him do a heck of a lot of damage, but being able to get in and focus down BZZ is still priority number 1, and he doesn't have an MKB. So if you get good RNG during this fight, that could just be it for you if Jo isn't able to get the damage output that he really needs to be able to secure that kill. And he doesn't even have an Aegis. So if Jo dies once, he's kind of screwed. And you can see the top lane is completely gone for EG. They haven't even pushed the tier 2 top. So, like James was saying, Rock's Kiss just sit back, they wait. They wait for the lanes to continually push in because they always will be. And then you just wait for that Roshan, or the Aegis to fade.
Like you mentioned though, Jo doesn't really have a buyback, and the Aegis is up on Demon, but I'm guessing, of course, the safer bet is always to wait out the Aegis, even though it is on the Night Stalker. But they're just going to wait it out, farm up as much as possible. I mean, like I mentioned, they probably want around 9,000 gold on the Gyrocopter just to be safe. If they actually lose the fight, they want to be able to buy back and buy a new Rapier instantly. And that's going to mean 3 Rapiers in the game, but it's still, like, you kind of have to do it, and you can't just push it in like they're doing right now. They're going to be forced to go back.
Yeah, they have to go back immediately, actually. And this is a little bit of a blunder, actually, by Rock's Kiss, allowing EG to get in such a dominant position on the map, because this is base defense at its finest. Honestly, Jo could just attack the throne. Like, this throne is naked at this point in time. BZZ is going to have to do quite a bit of damage. They want to go in. There's a Soul Catcher on BZZ. Actually gets stunned out by, of course, the Carapace. Now Solo E goes in. He wants to find an Omni, but it gets canceled, actually, at BZZ. He's got to make a kill. Beat is the first one to drop. Bambo looking for the RP. Not going to find it. BZZ, he picks up the double kill, and there's buybacks already coming out. It looks like Dread is actually going to buy out. And Fear, he pops the Carapace. BZZ not going to be attacking into it. He turns around. Fear, he manages to blink away. Jo outside of the base. No health to speak of. The Satanic on cooldown, along with the BKB, and Rock's Kiss with another clutch defense. They're even going to be able to kill Demon. That's going to be the Aegis down and another death, and I think that might have just been enough for Rock's Kiss.
JO's going to TP back to base, though. He's going to be able to defend this. He's still got the Rapier up, of course, but it's going to be him and Fear against the full lineup of Rock's Kiss. I mean, the only one that's dead right now is Yol, and they're actually going to boost of travel into the base.
That's Megas.
And that's Megas, yeah.
Well, Rock's Kiss, very, very nice performance here in game number 3. EG, I want to say they can come back because they have a Rapier Luna, but it's going to be really hard now. It's one thing to be 2 lanes down, and yeah, the lanes are going to be pushing, and you can kind of push it out, but we saw that they had their last-ditch effort right there. Honestly, Bambo could not find an RP to save him. Like, he died instantly to the flat cannon, but I think that's pretty much it. I think Rock's Kiss pretty much just won the game. Rock's Kiss attacking the throne right now. Jo, he comes in. He wants to try to do something. Dread goes in. He's going to be able to get the lasso. Where's the disruption coming out? BZZ. He is going to be able to go in with that flat cannon. He just gets 2 kills straight away. Beat is in fear. Going down. Dread gets annihilated by Jo. Are the crits going to be enough? Here comes Bambo with the RP. BZZ, he's attacking the base. Bambo, he wants him so bad. Is he going to be able to use the second RP to hold him in place? It looks like he will. He pops the cheese. He's going to have to run away. Jo, it's a man fight right now, but Vanscore is here. Vanscore with the telekinesis. Jo, he's going to be dropping, and it looks like Rock's Kiss. They take the best of 3 series. 76 minutes in. The GGs come out, and EG, they've been knocked down to the lower bracket. Good lord, that game. I got to give all the credit in the world to Rock's Kiss. Their base defense, time and time again, perfect timing. They didn't even wait for the Aegis to be down because they couldn't wait. The last fight, EG forced it so hard. They walked inside of the base. They tried to take the fight. Bambo couldn't even RP. He just died. Like, there was nothing that they had during that unbelievably long game, unbelievably amazing game coming out from Rock's Kiss. You guys got to save me, because I got to stop talking.
Look at...
I've got nothing, man.
If you want to see how crazy the game was, just change camera and look at Weapons' hair.
Yeah.
It's just
Maybe even crazier than that, honestly, because double Rapier. I mean, you get a Rapier on a Luna, making a Rapier on a Gyrocopter is a statement, you know?
Yes.
It's like, we're going for the win. But a Rapier on a Luna doesn't really feel as good. Glaives are okay, but it's not flat cannon. It will never be flat cannon. And we saw during that last engagement when Bambo just got crushed by flat cannon shots. He died in, what, 2 or 3 hits or something like that?
Yeah.
And he couldn't even get the RP, so...
Yeah.
EG.
Just some amazing things, like little things that make a big difference in the games. Enchanting the illusion.
Yeah.
The glaives hit Bambo, because I saw it live, and I was like, he got hit by glaives. And I was like, looking at the top, I was like, wait a minute.
You had to process it, right? Because it was like...
Yeah, I was like, I knew he couldn't blink. I saw why he couldn't blink, because I saw a glaive hit him, and I was like, he just RP'd the ground, and then I had to process it, and I was like, okay, yeah, Enchantress, and it took me a while.
Yeah.
It was only until you showed the replay that I was like, oh, yeah. But little things like that were just amazing. And I did feel that BZZ was actually going to go for a rapier before he went for butterfly, because I felt like it was that kind of position where they might have been able to secure a fight and get an Aegis for him. But EG just did a great job controlling, and Aghanims on the Night Stalker is such a huge deal. I was just looking for Rock's Kiss in the later stages before they lost like bottom racks, I think it was, to actually do something with a smoke, even against a Night Stalker, because it could have caught them out. But they just, amazing defense, and they must have been timing that Aegis. They must have been like, they know when it goes down. They had to, because they were just avoiding everything.
Yeah.
And there was one time they were on 2 different pages when Gyrocopter BZZ was pushing bottom lane, and they didn't want to defend but used Glyph. He was like, his team must have been like, come back, and he's like, no, I don't want to fight. They've got Aegis, I want to push. And then they're like, no, you know, and something like that must have gone on, because he could have done some good damage to the tier 3 tower. And being able to even, you don't want to waste BKB on a TP, but should have been able to get out maybe safely. Trouble is, with all the blink daggers they had, maybe he was just too scared anyway to do any damage. But wow, what a game!
What a game, indeed. And it was, I feel bad for Bambo right now, because he played great. I mean, at the end he couldn't find those RPs, but it was due to Rockskis playing so intelligently and not Bambo. Even the Glaive one, I mean, it was a thing of just an instant second. You can't react. You look at your blink dagger, it's on cooldown. You go and do it instantly. Yeah. But the thing is that everything relied on Bambo for making things happen. Of course, the damage dealer was the Luna. The silence on Night Stalker was really important, especially against Vanskor playing, again, super great. I mean, probably one of the best players in the tournament so far. Great support plays. But then again, if you don't hit your RP, if you don't have that lockdown, then suddenly you rely only on the Nyx Assassin, and there's so much that a Nyx can do, even with Blink Dagger. So they had to execute perfectly. They didn't just 1 or 2 times, and that was enough for Rockskis to take the lead, get Mega Crips, and then end the game.
And I was really impressed by Dread and Solo at the end. Even though you were like, what is this build? The fact is that every time he came to him fight, he just realized it's like, he got a Shadow Blade because he thought this would help him. Even though Gem, I think it's, you said 900 range vision, so it didn't help him much because, you know, he was just taking so much damage. For that Shivas, man, that Shivas in the last fight, just running through the middle, throwing it down. You know, slowing people, allowing Dread to have some room.
Shots.
Huh?
More flak shots as well.
Yeah, it was really good. It was really weird, but it was very situational. Don't do it in pubs.
No.
Especially if not on our team. No, it's fine. We do worse. But I liked it. And their Juggernaut, like, he plays like, I'm the initiation Juggernaut. I'm going to clear some creeps with my Omni/Aghanims Scepter, do some damage on the carries, but it works. Like, it really does. It's an oddity to see, like, someone open up fights with an Omni/Slash. But the fact is, the damage is there. You know, and that one time where Demon was like, which way do I run?
And it's really funny because, I mean, if you've been playing Dota for quite a while, even if, I mean, I've been playing Dota for, I don't know, 7 years now, and you get in your head the number of hits of the Juggernaut normal Omni/Slash.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, this should end now, I'm okay. Oh, why is this going on still? And that. Because you get those extra slashes from the Acceptor, which is such a, I mean, it's quite an uncommon item in Juggernaut. Yeah. And sometimes it gets you off guard. And, well, that's what happened to Demon, apparently.
Even still, man, like, he could have just taken 2 steps back into a Luna with a Manta and been...
Yeah, it was weird. Like that mid-tower where he ran forward and died as opposed to running back with his team, it was odd.
I'm sure.
Because you did have a Demonic Purge potentially available there as well. And they would have won that fight if it, like... Okay, Bambo did get hit by Glaives, but I don't know, we can't see the fight again, but who was playing the Shadow Demon? Sorry, it was... Beatus. He blinked in and... caught a disruption onto the gyrocopter, I believe, and that was Bambo's go. Bambo was like, when he comes out, you go in, you RP, and that was where the RP missed. And had they have got that, it could have won the game.
Yep.
So, Enchantress.
I'm sure that Fear will have a new video of Demon after this. You know, Fear, what he does. He said that in order to reduce the EG throws, what he would do is every time there's an EG throw play, he would make a video and post it on his Twitter to just expose the player of the team who is doing the throw, even if it's himself.
Okay.
It was a collaborative effort, that game.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, if he's going to make a video, it's going to be the whole team. Because at some
It's gonna
stage...
This is going to be the whole game.
Yeah.
No, EG played amazing. And you know what? We go to the brackets because we are, an hour and a half now behind schedule. Sorry, Mouse Sports. Sorry, DD Dota. We're going to get into that as soon as possible. But who wants to drop down now to play EG? Not me. If I'm DD Dota and I'm Mouse Sports, this game feels like if you win this, you've got the best chances of going through. Like, Rock's Kiss were good, and they were very strong, but EG, when they play better, in my opinion, more scary of a team.
Yeah.
Like, they seem to have higher highs than even Rock's Kiss have brought into this matchup. So I would be scared about the DD, Dota, and Mouse Sports game just to drop down. And we're going to get that game set up as soon as possible. So we'll leave it with that. So coming up next is going to be DD Dota versus Mouse Sports, another best of 3. We're going to go to a quick break as we get ready to get the teams into the lobby and get started. And we'll be back in just wait for it.